Hi there, Soaring here. So I was on YouTube watching videos about games for the PS4 that some people say you should try out, and one game that came out and caught my eye was Maneater. Now Maneater is a game where you play as a bull shark of all things and take on the local wildlife and local meatbags, aka humans. And since the game is cheaper now, I decided I'm going to give it a try, and I remember there was a lot of hype around this game when it first came out. And I figured it would be fun to change up the formula and play as a misunderstood creature that prefers to stay in cold, wet, smelly, dark areas, and no, I don't mean redneck goths that can just jog right on for all I care. Now going into this game, it was all I was expecting it to be and what all I was hoping it wouldn't be, and I will touch on that later in this video. But first, let's start off with the intro of the game. So you start off as a fully grown bull shark and you have a voice in your head that you can hear throughout the game.
This is an adult bull shark. Fast, fierce, and armed quite literally to the teeth. She has little to fear here in the Gulf.
And yes, you do know that voice and where it is from. The voice will tell you info about sea life and other things throughout the areas you traverse. So I feel like some of this information may not be completely accurate, but I didn't feel like doing any research to see if he was right.
Look, barracuda frequents the waters around Trash Island, where they enjoy a steady diet of hypodermic needles and used pregnancy tests.
Now the first things you do is get used to the controls or moving around and how to do basic attacks and heal yourself, which you do by eating anything with a pulse. You can chomp down on things with your mighty bloody chompers, and you have a tail whip. And you break out of your confined area and you see just how lovely the game can be. The ocean is beautiful and vast, so you have plenty of room to move and to get more used to the controls and relax with the nice slow swim. Then you are told to go after the beachgoers, which is not a problem apparently.
While it is well known that sharks feed on mollusks, fish, and seals, less discussed is their propensity to feed on fear.
And even after watching other humans getting horribly dismembered and eaten alive, once they lose sight of you, they decide to go back in the water, just like in the movies. Now you know the game has campy humor, and then you can find out that it gets a little funnier, because despite being a creature whose biology requires it to stay in the water in order to survive, you can go on land. And it made me laugh when I saw this, because this is where you learn just how stupid people really are on land. How do you not notice a massive, hungry, willing to eat anything in its path creature of the sea flopping around on land? Then you are introduced to the main antagonist of the game, Scaly Pete, who is as one-off and simply written as you think he is. And saying that out loud reminds me that he is just a personification of my scripts.
What I do, I consider a sacred honor. Kill them all if I could. Too bad, ain't but 24 hours to a day.
Yeah, this game's story is very simple and not interesting in the slightest. You battle him, you go for the killing blow, and... God damn, he got you. Yeah, it turns out this isn't the main character you're playing as.
Oh, looky here. She's on for me.
This shark right here is. So the best way I can describe your origin story is that it is very similar to Guts from the Berserk series. Because just like Guts, you are born from the corpse of your dead mother as she is hanged by crazy individuals who hunted her down. But don't feel bad, because you wind up helping Pete roleplay as Guts from this point on. But it would be an inaccurate roleplay since Guts is missing his left hand and you just bit off Pete's right hand. But I don't think Pete is worried about roleplay accuracy at this point. And this is where the game starts to reveal more things to you as you start your life as a shark pup. As you learn to survive, you find out that the more living creatures that you eat without mercy, the more you level up, allowing you to slowly grow up with each level and allowing your attack and speed to go up as well. Then you find out you can upgrade your abilities and armor. That's right, this is an underwater RPG, which leads into the next part of this video, the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty simple and straightforward. You destroy anything with a pulse and level up. You see it, you eat it. Though it isn't as easy as it seems. Yes, each area has easy animals for you to take out in order to level grind, collect items, and heal, such as local fish, seals, and turtles. But the areas also have animals that are much higher level than you and very hostile towards you. These range from alligators, barracudas, swordfish, and even other sharks. They offer more XP and minerals for you to collect, and depending on your level, you can either gamble with using hit and run tactics, which takes longer to end them, but means less damage you take. You can level up higher than them and take them on then, but even then that's not a sure thing, because the areas that they will be inhabiting will have more hostile enemies around them, or they will force you into an area with more hostile enemies around them who are more than willing to help turn you into an all-you-can-eat buffet. And this is the point where I start talking about the armor and the other upgrades, and for each of these you are going to have to either complete some task like collecting a specific amount of items to unlock them, and also have enough items to use to spin on them in order to upgrade. You also unlock some items by defeating bosses, but I'll get on that topic later on in this video. I'm playing this as the standard game with no DLC, and so the armor you are offered is the bone set, which covers your body in bony armor for defense and has the ability which allows you to become almost indestructible for a short while. Then you have the bioelectric, which offers you electrical attacks and allows you to stun enemies, while also looking like living proof that your mother had a career in a certain film industry that everyone makes sure is deleted from their search history out of shame. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And no, I don't have the complete bioelectric set, and I'll explain why in the video later on. And then you have the shadow armor, which allows you to move faster and inflict poisonous damage that stacks up only to a certain limit though. It is my personal favorite because of how slick it looks, and the neon lights on it gives it a very nice touch. You also have organ upgrades. And no, I'm not talking about hip replacement, pacemakers, or gastro bypass. You know, the things your grandparents get to live longer so that way they can blue ball you about getting things out of their will by making you wait longer for them to pass away. I'm talking about having your organs be able to absorb more minerals, proteins, and fats, which America has no problem with that at all, and allowing yourself to gain more health when eating helpless sea life, or allow yourself to survive longer on land, which in game some people find quite normal and don't seem to be bothered by it one bit. Though seeing how polluted the water is in some areas, I imagine they've been rendered blind from swimming in it. But the upgrades for gaining more material will help you out a lot with leveling up before you decide which upgrade you want to purchase. And yes, you can mix match upgrades and create your own abomination of nature and bad choices. And now it is time to talk about the bad parts of the game. Now, I remember the hype that was around this game whenever it was first released, and people really did make this out to be something truly great. However, it was not. Yes, being able to play as a shark is great, and being an RPG at the same time, it was a good idea. The execution, though, very subpar at best, and the list of problems show when you play the game. This game has autolock, which should be helpful, but the moment the target leaves your line of sight, autolock is gone, and the camera doesn't stay focused on the target when you use it. And the first thing I said when I tried this was, why can't I just hold a button down like in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time in order to stay logged onto my target better? But because of the way this is set up, you're going to lose your target very easily and take a lot of damage that you weren't meant to take, so be prepared for the BS. Then you have the missions, which are all identical. Go here, eat this amount of this. Go here, eat this amount of this. Go here, eat this amount of this. You see where this is going, right? It's just a repeat of the same thing over and over again, and yes, it is very boring and numbing. It is just a repeat of the same thing over and over again, and yes, it is very boring and numbing. Well, what about the boss fights then, you're thinking? Sadly, the bosses suffer the same problem. The human bosses are all the same, and yes, you can see their bios and pics tell me they are different, but their fights are exactly the same. To get the human bosses to appear, you have to take out more of the human hunters for each boss. It gets very boring and very repetitive real quick. You will lose track of time of what's going on. Not because of excitement, but because of boredom. And then once the boss appears, you immediately lose them. And no, I'm not talking about the auto-lock system. I'm talking about these characters blend into the background with other characters so easily that you cannot find them. Half the time you won't even know that you have killed them until you see it on the screen. Then you do have animal bosses which do offer an attempt at variety, but just comes down to slow crawl gameplay. Yes, your upgrades help, but at times it just feels like you're dealing with another animal but with more tankiness to it. The only change I ever saw in the battles with any of the bosses was with Scaly Pete, where I can stop the torpedoes and then throw them back at him to lower his electrical field. and attack him then. But this only happened with the last boss, which my PS4 was so annoyed with that it decided to crash in order to escape the disappointment. Actually, it decided to crash because it was tired of the terrible story and didn't want to see any more of the cutscene from another point of the game. And also, I found a very easy tactic to use against the hostile animals, which made them no problem at all to deal with, but I'm not going to reveal what that is in case you decide to give this game a try and you want a little bit of a challenge. And that comes down to the question, is this worth a try? I'm leaning on maybe, but personally I want to say no. But is it worth your time? Maybe. This is one of those games you pick up and play for a while just to escape boredom for a short while, but don't feel the urge to complete it all in one sitting. The world is beautiful and can be relaxing to just swim around in and seeing what all you can find, but it wears off very quickly for my taste. There is too much repeating of the same thing over and over again. They do have DLC for this game, which is hinted at the end of the game, where they offer some new stuff and tactics to try, but I didn't bother with it once I saw the low scores up for the DLC. And since I wasn't happy with the game already, there was no need for me to waste my time on something I knew I wasn't going to like anyway. And in all honesty, I didn't really feel like making a video for this game because it was very boring and I was trying to figure out how would I do video on a game that's very repetitive. So I said screw it and go for it. Though this game is not for everyone, there is some people out there who would enjoy it. So personally no, but give it a try if you want. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.